Yes, we are live. And now we're going to go live on IG. Yes, yes, yes. Liberated Pussy Podcast number 16 in the house. And we are live on IG. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Hi,
The
everyone.
16th edition of the Liberated Pussy Podcast is season 2. We're coming up on 1 year. Oh my God, Mo.
I
Oh my
know,
God.
I know. That went by so fast. Didn't it go by
Yes,
fast?
it did go by fast. Like I had something, you know how memories pop up? A
Yeah.
memory popped up on my feed and it was saying this was a year ago and it was for, or maybe I was looking at pictures and it was from July 28th of 2023. And I'm like, we were doing a podcast July. I'm like, well, when did we start? So then I went through the process of looking at when we started, and that was actually our first podcast. So July 28th is our 1 year anniversary. So we're about a month out from
Wow.
our 1 year anniversary. We won. We won. We won. So let me back up and introduce myself. Welcome, everybody, to the
Mm.
Liberated Pussy Podcast. This is your girl, Adina, the goddess of magical movement. Yes, your girl. I am the co founder of Belly Dancers of Color Collective, which is a beautiful dance collective here in the Washington, D.C. area, but really the world. And I'm also the founder of Goddess Technology, that I have the I get to facilitate this amazing experience with my beautiful sister Monique in her platform called Follow the Sun. So we teach classes, and really it's not teaching because we're all students and we're all teachers from that perspective. So it's no hierarchy. Just understand that as we learn and as we expand, we share. And as goddesses come into the fold, as they learn and they understand, they share. That's what we're doing. So we're waking up to our magic, and it feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good. So dance, of course, coaching, of course, group facilitation, of course. We are 6 days away from our epic adventure in Bali. So
Mhm.
we are taking 26 women to Bali this year. What a wonderful journey. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Mo. So tell the people who you are, my goddess.
That's amazing. I thank you, Adina, for that. I really appreciate our opportunity to be together. So I am Monique Ruffin, also known as the Moon Mama. I am an astrologer and a life coach, and my work is to assist women in waking up into their magic through healing, though, through the process of transmuting trauma, pain, um, disappointments, fears, unworthiness into the truth of who you are, and being able to really learn how to use everything that has happened in your life for your good, for your
Ashe.
best, like
Yes.
not being stuck by any experience, by knowing that everything serves you. And when you know that, things actually start to morph into something that serves you, whether you thought so or not.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's like she says that this health challenge is going to serve her. Well, it's going to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes something that a life that's lived through curiosity and not through fear, not through waiting for the other shoe to drop. I am the founder of Follow the Sun. I co facilitate 13 Moons with this beautiful goddess, and I co facilitate the Goddess Gathering with Adina. And we create spaces for women to access safety, to access rest, and access a new perspective of who they are in the world. That is what we do.
That's what we do. And I'm here to tell you it is sacred work.
Mhm.
It's work literally deep up in your yoni work. It is work that many of us don't even speak about.
That's
It's the work of our lives. It is the work, and it feels so good. And I can say it doesn't feel like work from the work perspective. Not
yeah,
to say it's not hard at times and challenging and that kind of thing, but I know that I'm in my purpose. I
yeah.
know that I'm doing what I was literally born to do. And that feels amazing. Feels
Doesn't it
amazing.
feel amazing?
Oh
Doesn't
God.
it feel amazing? And
Yeah.
The thing I'm so aware of is that I've not been around people who have lived this way,
Yeah. Yeah.
who have been activated into their purpose and their um, desire to fulfill their potential. Like I've
Mhm.
not really seen that. I feel like men have been given a real they've been given the spaces to do that, and we see it with athletes possibly.
Mhm.
But it's a rare thing for women, and I'm just very grateful that we get to do it. It's so fun.
I understand why it's rare for women now too, because we're so freaking powerful. When we are in our power, the way that the current paradigm is set up, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
So they whoever they are, or we had to go to sleep in order for these things to transpire the way that they have.
yeah,
Now it is time for us to wake up so that we create a new, literally a new earth, a new world, a new way of being, a new way of loving, a new way of healing, a new way of enjoying and experiencing being alive in these bodies right now.
hmm
That it's orgasmic. It's literally orgasmic.
um, yes, it's a new frontier, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It really
New,
is.
we're frontiers women. We're frontiers women. So
Right.
Monique, I have a question for you.
Yes,
Are you down with LPP, baby?
you know me.
Hey!
Oh my gosh, we might just
LPP, y'all. Liberated Pussy Podcast. She down with it. She been down with it for almost a year. She down with it. I've been down with it for almost a year. I'm
yeah,
down with it.
that's
Our
right.
listeners, you've been down with it for almost a year. You down with it. The pussies are waking up. The pussies are here.
That is so hilarious. So today our topic is
Before topic,
oh,
tell us
that's
all our moon magic, moon
oh
mama.
my gosh,
What's
the
going on?
astrology. What's going on in the astrology? Okay,
Yes.
let me just take a glance because guess what? I haven't yet. So let me do that. I'm so grateful that astrology is a language for me that I don't have to panic.
Mm-hmm.
That I own it. Okay, so oh, what do we have today? Today the moon is it's a Mercury day. The moon is in Pisces, and the sun is in Cancer. Okay, so that's a lot of emotion, a lot of watery energy. So this emotion energy is really about accessing your feelings. This is an opportunity. I like to use astrology from the perspective of what are the best ways of using the astrology. So today, with the sun trining the moon, we are coming into a new cycle. And this is the time when we want to be. The sun is our expressed personality, who we are, and the moon is our inner world. And with the trine, that means they're working together. So you want to use this energy to really line up your feelings. You want to understand, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? How is this feeling serving me? You want to really be investigate you want to investigate your response to your environment
Mm-hmm.
and take responsibility for it, because in that, with the sun in Cancer, we get to build new codes around, maybe you weren't raised in a family where your emotions were appreciated, or maybe you weren't raised in a family where you really understood who you are, and there was space for you to be yourself. So now you get to give yourself those experiences to reaffirm yourself in new ways, and just asking, why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What's present now? How do I best use this? And those are the things that those questions will help you heal old broken patterns. Um, and then the final thing is that the moon is going to be trying Saturn today. I mean, not moon trying Saturn, Mercury trying Saturn. So that's our mind and how we think, and it's a Mercury day. And so this is inviting us into having new thoughts, like a new mindset. Like, oh, and I can't stress how important this is. I cannot stress how important this is. But I want to try to give an example, and I want to even ask you, Adina.
Okay.
Maybe I'll start by asking you, is there any place in your life that you can think of pretty, in the moment, that where you really have a new mindset around it, and you're starting to make, and you have new behaviors around it also, possibly?
Well, new mindsets around how I see myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, and I say so a lot, so I'm working on that.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times where I really couldn't see me. I really didn't understand what it is that I am. I had a feeling that there was more in me that I was accessing, but I didn't know how to get to it. So I really had a sadness around that internally. It wasn't anything that was expressed, it was in
Yeah.
my deepest, quietest moments with myself. This process, and it's been a lifetime process, but I feel like I have accessed a greater understanding of me, which has bloomed into a deeper confidence,
Mm-hmm.
a assuredness,
Mm-hmm.
stepping out, doing things that I may have been afraid to do previously. Even this expansion into this amazing international retreat, it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge expansion.
Yeah.
And I am confident that my ancestors have my back. I am
Yeah.
confident that the guidance is always there. Like you say, you read astrology. There are different things that I can read that can give me guidance
Yeah.
about the path that I should be on. And so that's the part that's really different is me with me. I'm different with me. I'm different how I receive me. And therefore the world around me is different. Everything is different and new. And it's really yummy as I'm seeing it pop and just bloom. I'm
Mm-hmm.
blooming, baby. I'm blooming, baby. Ow. Yow, yow, yow.
Oh my God.
I'm so happy about it.
I love that. I totally love that, and it's so funny. There's when you, the little girl in me, like when your mother does so, you be like, "Mommy, stop it!"
You know, mommy, stop it. Mommy's not gonna stop it.
I know. That's
Mommy,
not, mommy. Don't stop. Don't
yeah,
stop. But the
this
little
mommy
girl,
is not stopping it. She
no,
stopped it. She stopped it all those years before. She
don't
put
you
it,
dare stop it. Don't you dare
yeah,
stop it. I'm
yeah.
just so aware. Like I
Mhm,
was with Zion today, and I was doing that, and he was going, "Mommy." I just feel that energy. So
mhm,
so thank you for that. Um,
mhm.
I am very aware of coming into a greater level of trust for myself.
Ashe.
And and I have I have been very aware of the ways that I have sought affirmation outside of me
Mhm,
and other people in external validation. And now I'm beginning to see that it's my own trusting of myself that creates the external experience.
mhm.
I don't have to look to the, and that's a new way of being in relationship to this reality. And it is it's a trip. It
Yeah,
really
it
is a
is.
trip because the reality is malleable. And
Yes.
we the way I have taken in information, it's I have been we have been I have been taught to believe that things are fixed.
Mhm. That's just how it is. That's just
That's
the way
how
things
it
are. That's how it's always been. My answer to that is so it's time for it to change.
and it is, and that is a really profound thing.
Mhm,
So those are some of the things that so that's the astrology, right? So
mhm,
these are the ways that we can use the astrology by really questioning our feelings, questioning our narratives about reality, questioning our own responsibility, how we show up, what we put out there, and then what comes back, knowing that what comes back is a part of our creation.
Ashe. It is our creation.
That's right.
It literally is. And that's what we know now. And like
Yes.
when you said external validation, I understand that. I used external validation to find validation within myself. So the external validation was medicine for a level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was medicine. And I'm so appreciative of those who could see me when I couldn't see myself,
Hmm.
which gave me, I used that to get my strength to stand on my own two legs to validate myself. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful to all those who love me and see me and who affirmed me. I thank, and I'm grateful for every
Yeah.
affirmation that I receive. That is one of my love languages. When you speak loving to me, I love that shit. That's my
Mhm,
jam.
mhm.
Yet and still, I spoke lovingly to myself in the mirror already. When I got up, I hugged little Adina. I was like,
Mhm.
yes, girl, yes. So use it. I'm not, so it's not to say no external validation, it's
Yeah.
okay. You know, it
Yeah.
is what it is. Use it as medicine to get yourself on your own two legs, to validate yourself for those times when it's not there.
Yes. It's a very interesting thing with that validation thing because external validation called me into being somebody I was not.
Well, and see, that's a part of how you run energy too.
That's right.
I understand that.
That's right. So it's
Yeah,
different for everyone, and
that's
everyone
true.
you have to know yourself.
Right.
So I have had to create my own validation based upon what I know and feel about myself. And nobody was in agreement with it.
Okay.
Nobody was in alignment
Yeah.
with it, pretty much, right? Like,
Hmm.
and when I would be in alignment with the external, I would play small.
And you were out of alignment. You would make yourself sick with that kind of stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So this brings us into our conversation that we're having, I
Ashe.
feel like,
Hmm.
about our relationships with other women and
Yes.
being girlfriends and how these relationships serve us, how they have, like, just I hear a lot of women say it this way. I hear a lot of women talking about how challenging it is to be in relationships with women.
Hmm.
And um and I understand. I get it. You
I do
know,
too.
I feel like as I have been doing my own work to heal, as my work in the world is to support women, I see so clearly how we have been conditioned to be so far away from who we really are. And we are striving for things that the culture says we should strive for. We're striving for things that we haven't aligned with inside of ourselves as our own personal truths. We just taken the baton from the
Hmm.
cultural agreements
And running with it.
and we're running with it. And so what
And then you
happens,
look at it like, I don't even want this shit. Like, what is this? Like,
well, or you look at it, most people keep trying thinking something is wrong with them.
hmm,
They don't look at the thing and go it's wrong. They look at themselves and go something
no,
is wrong with me.
no, you're literally holding shit. Literally.
Right. And that's the thing to understand. So what happens is that's why, because people are thinking that their lives aren't working in the way that the culture says it's good and acceptable. If you're married and you have 3.5 children and your husband takes care of everything or whatever it is, whatever the story is, right? It doesn't matter what it is. But when we are aspiring to those things, and then there's some that can access that because they actually are wired that way, and then there are others who cannot access that because they are not wired that way. And what happens is how that drives in us self-defeatedness,
Yes.
feeling
Or
unworthy.
feelings of failure and things like all of those kind of judgments.
Right,
Hmm.
right. And that stuff is, it's so important that we understand. This is why cosmology and astrology has helped me to understand that it gives context to my experiences.
Hmm.
It
The
helps me.
context is everything. I
That's
think
right.
that really helps. It's the environment. It's understanding who you are in the environment,
Yes.
how your energy runs through your body, and how your
Yes.
power and all of that works too.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
So since I have learned that I was given a code of how to be in this world, but that code counteracts my code. Like
Mhm.
the code of who I am does
Mhm.
not resonate at all with what the culture says is valuable.
Right.
And I tried it.
Mhm.
We all have. And the question is, how where are we with ourselves? Because in these relationships with other women, we're mirroring back and forth to one another wounds,
Mhm.
sadness, despair, unfulfillment, jealousy.
Yes. Yes.
That.
Let's talk about jealousy. Let's talk about that
Mhm.
because I think that's a big one. I had an experience this weekend and I shared, or last week, and I shared it with you. Um, and you and I got into a conversation about what jealousy is. And
Yeah.
I don't think, well, I know that our culture doesn't really teach us what it is. Like I've heard a few things, like I've heard folks say, like in relationship to like someone you're in a romantic partnership with, like they almost want them to be jealous because it means that they care. I thought that was
Mhm.
kind of weird. Like, well, if he don't act, if he don't get jealous and he don't really love me like that. I'm like, really? That's how you see love? Like, it's all kind of weird things with the
Yeah.
jealousy. I remember seeing someone, like, this is as a when I was a child, as a little girl, who represented what was told to me, the story of what a quote unquote ideal little girl was supposed to be like, like light skin with the, little curly hair and a little
Mhm.
white dress on, and, that kind of thing. And just kind of feeling away in her presence, feeling like, okay, well, she's the ideal, and I guess I'm the wallflower or something,
Mhm.
or I should be carrying water or something because she is the ideal. I've heard you say stuff about that in respects to your mom. Maybe when we
Mhm.
were having that conversation with Gabrielle a few months ago.
Mhm.
Um, and as I look at it and look at myself, like, now as my conscious self looking back at myself then, it was a jealousy energy, because I felt like she had something that I did not, which was being the ideal little girl, or the ideal view of the feminine. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was not that, because of the story that was told to me about what things should be. So I
Yeah.
can look at it now. And so then fast forward to grown women. I have friends, beautiful friends, all shapes and sizes, all age ranges, and things like that. Some women, when we talk about the code and energy that we carry, some women carry a very sensuous energy, a very magnetic energy, and you could be in their company and you just feel it immediately. That
Yeah.
can be triggering. I love her, but her energy is fucking triggering because I'm feeling it. Like, everybody drawing you, everybody looking at you like, damn, ho, like, what's up? What about me? Like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I know that now, to just pull into where I'm feeling lack. Where am I feeling less than? Where am I feeling
Yeah.
like? It's not even about her and her thing. I
Yeah.
I can look at her as a proclivity, meaning that there's something in her that even attracts me. And
Yeah.
perhaps I want to exemplify that. So then she's my teacher. That's how I look at it now. Let
Yeah.
me learn from her. Let me
Yeah.
look at how she does whatever well, and see how, if aspects of that work for me, and utilize that for me, rather than throwing shade or being, what they call it, nice, nasty, that kind of thing. Like, I don't like that, because as a Cancer, I feel all that shit. Like, if you're
Mhm.
not really being nice, after a while, I do like, oh, like that.
Right.
What was
Right.
that?
Right.
That kind of thing. So for me, I try to learn from those who exemplify aspects that I have not yet mastered.
Yes.
Um, what do you say about that?
I say that jealousy is a reflection of something we haven't fully activated in ourselves. It's just
Gosh,
it's as simple as
that's
that.
all it is.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a signal that there's something I desire to experience within myself. And so I've gotten to the point where now I've always had a lot of women friends. So let me
Mm-hmm.
say that. That's never been I've always been somebody who's been very connected to women.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like women have saved my life. I was
Mm-hmm.
raised in a family that was full of women. My mother
Mm-hmm.
had three sisters. My grandmother who raised me had three sisters. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel very connected to women. Um, and so I've not had a lot of jealousy in just with women. What I have had jealousy around is this idea of being loved by a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have felt like I want male attention
Mm-hmm.
the way some women get male attention.
Mm-hmm.
But I have also was my mother was a prostitute and she got a gang of male attention, and I rejected that.
Mm-hmm.
So I start to see like what's really going on in me.
Mm-hmm.
This is really all about me. And now that I have done so much work on me and I love who I am and the work that I do and I love how I take care of my body and I love how I show up. Like, I don't jealousy is not something that shows up for me as much.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does, I'm like, "Oh, it's time for me to grow a little bit."
Yeah, get curious.
Right, I'm on my growing
Mm-hmm.
edge now. Like, what's here for me?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I get to become more. I get
Yes.
to blossom even further.
Yes.
So I I deeply appreciate the experience of understanding the like the construct of womanhood and how we are water for one another. We just
Mm-hmm.
are. That's why when we get in company together, our cycles sync up and
Mm-hmm.
everything because we are watering one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know that most of us don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's really interesting. There was a time when I was in a space where I was connected to a number of white women, and I never saw as much self-loathing and deep unfriendliness as I did with being with groups of white women.
What's funny is when I would be with white folks like that, I thought they had it together. Like that was my understanding. Like in this society, I'm like, well, what y'all mad about? Like,
Right,
what's
right.
y'all's issue? Like, why y'all so mean?
Yeah,
I didn't understand why the hell they were so mean. I get it now from a larger perspective. But like
yeah,
you said, it's some deep, and even the ones who were supposed to be the hot girls or the cute girls
yes.
were some of the most miserable ones.
It's a very interesting thing. It's just what
Mhm.
our culture has done
Yeah.
and how the culture has been designed to keep women at odds with one another so that men, I know for me, I just would value like I had so much love with women and so much
Mhm.
connection with women and have saved they always women have come to, but what I wanted was what I didn't have. I wanted men. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's how we don't value ourselves or the reflection of ourselves in other women. We want that external validation.
Okay, but then even think about the competition, like they would say the competition for men. Like say if both of you guys like the guy, like if you've ever had that happen, like you and your girlfriend like the guy,
Hmm.
and then you set up a competition thing, or like have you ever experienced something like that? Maybe not set up a competition thing, but it becomes kind of a thing.
Um, you know what? No. And
Okay.
I gotta say that, and I will say because I remember when I was in high school, I mean, not in high school, first year or so in college, I had a boyfriend who was very busy with a lot of other women.
Hmm.
And
I like how you said that.
me and my girlfriends who were in college together, we set up a rule. And the rule was we don't date each other's partners. We
Hmm.
don't, if somebody has been with them, we don't be with them. If
Okay.
right. And it just created a connection between us
Hmm.
that was really trustworthy.
Okay.
So at some point when he did come to me and say, your roommate is trying to do such and such, I knew he was lying
Hmm.
because my commitment was with her.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I also have been in open relating communities. So
Hmm.
now, as an adult woman, let's share.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I just don't have any of. I don't believe that I own anybody. I don't believe that
That
it's
part right there. Like my spirit has always been an open relator because I always felt like that we don't own each other. And if there is an authentic connection, I do feel like people should be able to explore that if they decide to, with whatever context and whatever they set up and that kind of thing. I had a situation in college where, and I still love him to this day, but how I met this person, and he's on IG, so he might see this. But how
Mhm.
I met this person was through one of my friends. She was talking about him, blah blah blah. And he would come. We all lived in the same dorm, so he would come to the dorm to talk to her. But then, like we were all roommates, so he would buzz all of our rooms, and we
Mhm.
would all come down. We were all just talking. I was like, oh, he's a really nice guy. He's a really nice person.
Mhm.
And so we all just kind of had a bond. Then when it was just me, us, and the girls, the one who initially brought him to our circle would be talking about him in like a funky kind of way. I was like, well, I felt the way about that. I was like, wow, that's kind of cruddy, like trying to play the little games and stuff. And
Mhm.
so what ended up happening is, they never dated or anything. We just all talked. He would come and just buzz my room, right? I
Mhm.
didn't know that, but I'm coming down thinking everybody else is coming down, and I'm like, well, like where, such and such and so and so. He's like, well, I just buzz you, and so then we would just talk, and we went on to have a 30-year friendship. But I did feel like the fact that he and I got closer put a wedge between me and her, You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
she clearly didn't want him from when we weren't all together. She was like, she threw him away. I'm like, you throw people. I don't believe in throwing people away. I don't. I
Yeah.
saw value in this person. And like I said, today we're still, we're still cool. I can call him
Yeah.
right now. But what is that when folks feel like you own a person or you own them? And even if you throw them away, you still feel like, well, da 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 da, like nobody talks to him because I talked to him, and I decided he wasn't worthy. But if somebody else has a connection with him, what's the problem? Like, what is that?
Right. Well, I think some of that is youthfulness. Like, so you
Mm-hmm.
guys were in college,
Yeah, we
right?
was in
So,
college. We was 18. This was
yeah,
freshman year.
yeah. So, so you if you bring in the context, right?
Mm-hmm.
18-year-old girls,
But
freshmen, first,
people still act like this, though. You know
right.
what I mean?
I'm just saying. So okay. So you're saying not to speak to that situation. I think that people. I think the deepest core for women is that we don't love ourselves.
That part.
So when we
That part
don't,
right there.
right,
Because when you love yourself, it doesn't matter who connects with who and that kind of
right,
thing. As
right,
you deepen your love for yourself, you know that the love that you give is the love that you got coming always.
right. Yes.
Yes.
I don't think that many of us are really there. I
Okay.
think that we're starting to get there. I mean, how many people do you know that you really know that live there from that place?
Well, I like to think we're growing it. I
Yeah,
like to think that. I like to think that we're living it and we're growing it through our children that we raise because they're coming through a different paradigm. And then the women that we work with, we're coming through a different paradigm. My sisters, I love and appreciate them. My brothers, I love and appreciate them. But most of all, I love and appreciate me. So
yeah,
no matter what happens through all of these relationships, I know I'm good. Like I'm good, good. I'm
yeah,
good, good, good.
yes, yeah. It's relationships with women and being friends with women is has been a very complex dance for me in my life. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
women have saved my life
Mm-hmm.
and they have held me in ways that I didn't even know how to hold myself.
Mm-hmm.
And women, I feel like sometimes women require agreement, a constant agreement. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's it can be challenging to be your true self
Mm-hmm.
with other women because it's like we do this, we link energies with one another,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know?
think sometimes we're very judgmental of ourselves and each other too, which makes it hard to be yourself if you feel as soon as you put something on, it's going to be a thing. Or if you are a little more in your sensuality and your friends are not, then there's judgment. Or if you did, you know what I mean? Some people you can't really, not my friends, because I can be my full self with my friends. I'm blessed at that. But when I observe other people, even like go to the beach and look at groups of women and how they talk to each other,
Hmm. Hmm.
it
Have you
it
always been able to be yourself with friends?
I have to think about that. I was able to be no, I can say no to that
Okay.
because I wasn't comfortable with myself yet. I'm comfortable now, but it
Yeah.
took years to get here.
Yes.
I had friends that I could be like. I saw this one podcast with these women, and one thing she said, I think it was called the Friendly Black Girl Podcast or something like that.
Hmm.
And she said they were talking about if you have a disagreement with your man, don't tell your girls because they're going to be mad at him and you could be over it and they're still throwing shade. But
Hmm.
my thing was like, well, how do you actually be authentically wherever you are? This is where the principles come in because
Hmm.
we know we create our lives. We know we're responsible for the feelings that we have. Our feelings are our own. We know that we really do attract and create. And it's not about, oh, he ain't this and he ain't that, da da da. Like we look at ourselves first before we're looking at the other. But
Yeah.
what they were saying was like, well, just don't tell your girls. I'm like, well, how can you have an authentic relationship? And I'm not saying all information is for everybody. No,
Yeah.
you have to use discernment in terms of who you share what with. But there should be someone that you can be really authentic with. There
Right.
should be someone that you can be your full self with
Right.
because that's where the goodness is. Everything else is just surface.
Yes. I think there should be several that you can be really your
I agree. I
right.
agree.
But this thing that you're talking about, is the beauty of understanding that we create our lives, especially as women, that we truly are the generators of reality. Like when I started understanding that, so if I have girlfriends who are jealous or girlfriends who, I'm under asking myself, where am I creating that?
Ashe, that
Where
is
is that? Why is that
in
showing
me.
up in my
Yeah.
reality?
Where's that
Right.
in me?
Right.
Yeah.
And most of us don't really want to do that
Mm-hmm.
because, and I get it. I'm not saying first we haven't been taught to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a very mature perspective to take. But as I understand the physiology of how this reality works in the cosmology, we are projecting realities. We think we're separate, but we are not.
We're not.
The people in your life are a frequency match with you.
They're another you. They
That's
are
right.
another you outside of you.
That's right. And so the things you say about them or think about them are the things you say and think and feel about yourself at some
Mhm.
level. So when that helps me, because I'm so sensitive, and many of us are very sensitive, and we are learning how to be ourselves and be with others. I can feel, like we're all very unique. We're
Mhm.
all very unique. And I can feel the tension between my frequency and somebody else's.
Mhm.
And it doesn't always feel good.
No, it doesn't. But when it doesn't feel good, that's where the work is. You know what I mean? When everything is all, just cool, then we don't work. We relax.
Right. So, what I'm saying is that if I'm understanding myself, then I don't have to make anybody else responsible for what I'm feeling.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I can literally um like my work has been to be very self-contained, like in a
Mhm.
monk energy
Mhm.
for the last
Mhm.
year, right?
Mhm.
And I have friends whose energy is not, it's extraordinarily out. Historically, I would feel bad about having to be internal
That's
with,
me and you. What are you talking about?
right, with somebody being so external. I would
Mhm.
feel a conflict inside of me,
Mhm.
like I'm doing something wrong or like they're wrong, like because the tension and the differences.
Yes. That part, the tension in the differences,
Yes,
that part is something to really be aware of and to be awake of in the moment, because that's a seed of growth. You
yes,
can choose to make it wrong or right, or you can choose to be at neutral and figure out what that tension is within you and heal that. That's a step up. That's a
yes,
step up.
yes. Okay, so let me read some of the comments. Are you
Oh, okay.
open to that? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so my work is not to allow my past wounds to attract me into familiar wounds energy, but and not avoid new possible connections either. That's what Soul Survivor Heal says.
Okay.
And then she also said, it's shadow work. It's hella uncomfortable. I think sometimes it's past life energy as well, if you believe in that. Of course, we believe in that, honey. we are, we know that we are infinite, eternal beings,
Mhm.
and we also understand very much. So thank you very much for that. Soul Survivors Heal. And then Lottie PA said, "What is monk energy?" You want to tell
Oh,
her?
okay. So one of the tools that we use is the Bagua astrology.
Mhm.
And Bagua is characterized by 9 different archetypes that really encapsulate all the energy in the world. And so that's a lot. That's a lot to encapsulate. So monk is a masculine, well, actually it's an androgynous energy, but it's leaning masculine. Monk gives us our objective. Monk can be very judgmental, that energy. Monk also helps us see how we can be better if we look at it. We can do a whole thing on that. We have Bagua energy for our mind in terms of how we think, how our spirit, how we feel, and our body, how our body runs energy. So Bagua is a technology of understanding energy, because at the end of the day, it's just all energy. It's all
Yeah,
energy.
that's
How are you utilizing it? Is it cultivated? Is it uncultivated? Is it helping you? Is it dormant? Is it
yeah,
something you want to bring out? Is it something you want to grow? So that is what monk energy is. So when Monique talked about being very internal, if you think of a monk up in a Tibetan monk up in the mountains praying for 37 hours a day. That's what she's talking about. She went in. Monk is about the principles and things like that. A monk is aligned. So that's what we're talking about, monk energy.
Yes, thank you for that. And so our ability, it's really important as for us to understand it. And this stuff also comes through the astrological lens as well. It's the same. The Bagua is a tool based in astrology.
Mhm.
It just and so because it's about the planets. And the monk is Uranus. It's the energy of Uranus, which is about accessing your individual codes. The thing that makes you unique is necessary for the whole.
Ashe.
And as that's one of the things that I find is fascinating in girlfriends ships is that we have a tendency to blend into one another.
I don't like that. I mean, and I don't mean it like that.
Let me finish saying what I'm saying.
Okay, say it, please.
Okay. So in our finding our uniqueness, when we go into the monk energy, you can begin to access your individuality.
Ashe.
So that because we need community, but we want to bring our individual selves to community, and that will mean there will be hiccups and expansions and contractions. There will be upsets and right set. All of that will occur, but we know that that is the human experience, so we can create space for those things. We can allow it.
Yeah.
There was a time I was in. I've had a lot of been in a lot of women's groups all my life. I told you women are just my. And I was in this group with women, and we used to meet at my house. And one of the women started dating someone who had just been accused of molesting a little girl.
Oh, wow.
It was something else, y'all. It
Mhm.
was, if you can imagine. So we were all at this church together. This gentleman was married to one of the women who we were all very close to. One day she came to class and she said, "There's something in my life happening that I'm not seeing."
Mhm.
It was just simple as that. And we were all like, okay. Within a week, it became clear that her husband, who she adored, they were always lovey, 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 da da da, was molesting her daughter.
Oh, that's sad.
And so that happened. And then many months later, like maybe 2 or 3 months later, one of the women in the group that was hosting at my house started dating him.
So you said accused, but this was confirmed. It wasn't just an accusation, it was confirmed. I'm asking.
How do I want to say that? The little girl, she's at the time the little girl told her mother that that's what was going on.
Okay.
No police were involved or anything. At least in this moment, I don't remember because it was so traumatizing. Let me just say that it was a very traumatizing experience. And he had also, the reason it was so traumatizing for me is because he had been hitting on me,
Oh, wow.
and I had gone to someone who was older because I was pretty young at the time,
Mhm.
and told the older woman was like, "This is happening." And I'd gone to a couple of people and said, "This is happening." And no, and and it was ignored. Let's just say it that way. So then maybe 3 weeks later, it comes out that he's molesting his daughter. And then all these other women come out going, and he was all this sort of stuff, right? So it was a very interesting thing. And I, it was the group of women, we couldn't hold it.
Mhm.
The group ended up collapsing. We ended up totally breaking up. We could not hold that level of shadow.
Mhm.
That
You didn't
there
have
was
tools. You didn't have any tools to
right.
work
We
on
didn't
that.
have any tools, right? So that there was a woman whose child was being molested by a man she was married to, and then he found somebody else in the community and just started dating her. Like, and we just couldn't hold that.
Mhm.
Um, and it was so interesting to see the shadow of that feminine shadow.
Mhm.
And now, as a more evolved woman, I get it, and I have tools, and I think it's just very important. as women that we are willing to be in containers together with our shadows.
So it's a couple things you said I want to address
Okay.
because we're getting far away from it. When you talked about blending into each other, I personally feel like that is it can be an issue, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
because we need the diversity
Mm-hmm.
in the it's if you even think of biology, if everything is homogenous, it's no flavor. If everything is a rose, it's like, we want all of the flowers in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
The other
Mm-hmm.
thing about the I'm looking at my notes, the feminine shadow and holding it. That feminine shadow is a beast. That bitch, you know what I'm saying? That hoe comes for your neck. She is cutting throats. That is Kali. She comes for keeps.
Yes.
So that part is huge, and we need the diversity in our feminine army or our feminine
Yes.
squad to even be able to handle that. If everybody's homogenous and everybody's looking like an Instagram model, like you don't even have a diversity in your look, like Cardi B and whoever those girls are, Nicki Minaj, they all looking the same right now. Like they are
Yes.
all creating like a little archetype where they're just kind of stamped out the same. Where is
Yes.
the diversity in not just the look, but the spirit, the perspective, all of that, because it's going to take all of that to bring the resources to address the complexities and the depth of the
Yes.
shadow. We need what you have. We need what you bring. We need all of you. I don't need you to be me. I need you to be you,
Yes.
so that we can do what we have here to do. But that feminine shadow is a straight up bitch.
She is not to be played with, right?
Oh
And astrology has helped me because Lilith, right?
my
Like
God.
Lilith, the dark side of the moon, and when we understand our own parts, when we give ourselves permission. I remember when I got married.
Mhm.
When I got married, I was the first time I realized that I was a motherfucking bitch
Wow.
because I hadn't lived with anybody like that before. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I am not a nice person. Like, I
Mm.
feel very at the effect of this experience. And
Mhm.
the devil was coming up out of me. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? You
Were
know,
you getting on your own nerves?
I
Did you
was,
get to that point?
yes,
Right. Mhm.
So, but the feminine shadow is it's a very living thing and we need it.
We need it. I will say this about our inner bitches. We
Yeah.
have to be able to look at her and shine love on her. It's not about judging her, even. It's about recognizing that she's there, seeing what that need is, what is being called for, like the jealousy when we talked about that, and
Yeah.
then serving that. If you just hide it and put it in the closet, cut the light off, it just gets bigger.
That's
It just seeps out, it just squishes out the sides.
that's
But
right.
how can you love even your shadowy selves? As because if you can't love your shadowy selves, you can't hold space for somebody else's shadow. I mean,
That's absolutely right. And it's can you love the part of yourself that feels unloved?
yes.
Can you love the part of yourself that feels unseen?
Hmm.
Can you see yourself?
You see yourself.
Can you like, and that has been my work because
Mhm.
my energy is so like I have a Pisces rising, so my energy is very ephemeral. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's 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 a like I can reach into the heavens,
Mhm.
and but I don't come from people in spaces where that is even common. Like so, I used to be in groups where people would be laughing at me for thinking about forgiving people and
Mhm.
understanding, what it means for people to cross over and have reincarnation. Like coming from a really Christian environment, I was looked at as weird and
Mhm.
oh, you so this and but I had to really come to appreciate like my childhood and my experience has been valuable for me. It has been really valuable to have a woman, a mother who worked as a prostitute and really understood her body and my mother was a ghetto geisha. Like it was
Mhm.
valuable for me to
Mhm.
have that, but because I was in a world that says that is unacceptable and that's not religious, then I was afraid to really embrace the energy of my inheritance,
Mhm.
which has a lot of sensual sexual energy in it.
Mhm.
And that's my creative power. And so it created a lot of sexual shame,
Mm.
and so but it has been the deep internal work that has helped me see myself clearly, helped me understand the context of where I come from, why I come from that, helped
Mhm.
me understand the context of the sexual feminine through ancient times. So
Right.
I'm not caught up in some idea that what this patriarchal reality says about women and how we should behave sexually. Remember they used to say people were sluts and stuff and
Yeah.
whores. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, like that was a common thing when I was growing up. And
Yeah.
so to take that
And a
on,
lot of times it was women saying that to other women. Like
yes,
they had taken on the role that the patriarchy had prescribed, and then they were doing its bidding. It's like, well, they don't even have to do it. It was a self-fulfilling thing to shame women in our birthright, our sexuality,
that's right.
our all of it. The freakiness,
Yes,
like we're not putting any of it, saying that any of it is wrong. All of it is ours, and
yes,
we would shame each other for being our full selves. And so these are the things that we're growing out of, that we're shining light and love onto.
yes, yes. It is a powerful, powerful experience. And, so as the world is changing and the feminine is coming back online, it is most important for us to become in deep self acceptance of ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
every part of yourself. Like,
Right.
really love, like, I have parts of myself, like, let me just, like, I am a horrible housekeeper. I
Mm-hmm.
am a horrible housekeeper. And I love that bitch. She does not wash dishes. She don't put up no clothes. She don't do nothing. Like, if she can't pay nobody to do it, it just might not get done, right? And I just love her. I love her. Like, rather
That's
than
funny.
judging her and
Mm-hmm.
making her be like wrong for
Mm-hmm.
being like, I can't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can't, but like, look at what I got to deal with now.
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I love all aspects of myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
really, it's important for us to really make peace. And it's so interesting, like that thing for me. Like, my mother was a clean freak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you had water under, like, she just cleaned everything. And that just missed me. It just missed me.
Didn't pick that up, and I'm totally okay with that.
It's in there.
That's why we have the people to call. It's funny. Last time I was cleaning, I was like, I forgot how to do this. Like I had my kids doing chores for so many years, like, and now they're grown, and I was trying to do something. Like, how do you even do this? And then I was like, you don't want to do this, like you. I don't. Call
Right.
some, call in some resources, call in some help.
Yes. So
It's
it's
so funny.
our ability to embrace ourselves and be with other women in the embrace. So, like, this last several weeks, I've been having a really powerful time, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been, I'm like, can I give myself permission to fall apart? And I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to Gabrielle, and I was like, can I fall apart? Like, just can I give myself permission to be safe enough to fall apart with other women,
Mm-hmm.
without being judged, without being condemned, without feeling like, oh, they gonna get me when I'm down. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have safe spaces to fall apart and
Right.
to come back together.
You and I had this conversation yesterday about quote unquote gurus or teachers thinking that they have to have it all together. That's a fallacy. Nobody has it all together on everything all the time. I mean, that just doesn't exist. So
Mhm.
there'll be places that are fabulous and places that are totally fucked up and places that are in the becoming. And
Mhm.
all of that is you. And all of that's beautiful and all of that's welcomed.
Yes.
So that kind of thing. Because I had my fall apart moment yesterday. I was on the phone crying with my business partner about something. It was just all the pressure. Had a moment. My son came down and was rubbing my back. I was just like, oh God, I have so much support. And she's like, it's okay. I'm on the phone. I was like, wow, okay. 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. But
Yeah.
I needed to do that. Like I needed to, like you get to a place where you're just gonna bust. You need
Yeah.
to let it out. Give
That's
yourself
right.
permission to let it out.
That's
It's okay.
that's
It's
right.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
right. Sankofa Session says this conversation is powerful. I can't stay. I can't stay. Women relationship dynamics is my point of deep interest. I hope
Mm.
y'all cover this again.
Ashe, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Women relationships, like you say, Mo, I've learned a lot from women. Women have held me deeply. They really have. I've
Mhm.
also had women relationships that I thought were lifetime relationships that turned out not to be, which deeply hurt. You and I talked about Ayanna Van Zant's book, Acts of Faith. And the best thing in that book for me that I remember all these years, where she says some relationships are for a reason, some are for a lifetime, and some are for a season. And it's about knowing the difference, knowing if and being okay with letting it go, like holding it in, holding your hand open so
Mhm.
it can come and go. It doesn't have to be gone forever. It doesn't have to stay forever. It has, we don't own anybody, just like the men. We don't own anybody. We travel the road together for the time that we travel the road. And if our paths meet again, I'm open to traveling the road again. I'm
Yeah.
thankful for the time that we did travel. That's the deep place that I'm seeking to be. As a Cancer, I want to keep my people with me. I mean, that's just I just collect. I love to do that.
Mhm.
But people have their own coochie chakalia and get to determine
Right.
how they want to do it and how they want to be. I just like us not to be in upset or discord or funk
Yeah.
when the transition happens. If
Yeah.
there is upset, discord, or funk, what I'm committed to doing now is getting my lesson about what that is.
Yeah.
Looking at whatever jealousies, looking at whatever proclivities, looking at whatever patterns that were in me, because that was just another me. She
Yeah.
was just another me.
Mhm.
And I'm thankful for that other me. I'm thankful for what she brought me. I appreciate even the funk,
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
growing, and I also am learning how to create the communities that I like to see flourish, like you said, to be able to hold space for the shadow, to be
Yeah.
able to hold space for the light. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing with it.
Ashe.
I'll say.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I think it's one that we could have, more times, and I think we could break it down even more because it's 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 the key to our power.
Mm-hmm.
Really is, because our relationships with women are simply just reflections of our relationship with ourselves, and most of us don't really know ourselves. We
Yeah.
don't know who we are. We think we know. We are
Mm-hmm.
so far away from who we really are, which drives frustration and sadness and desperation and despair and comparison, because
Mm-hmm.
you're just not in alignment with
And
yourself.
that comparison is some bullshit. That part right there too.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Rakim said that the female relationships is also reflection of your relationship with your mother. And
Yes.
that had me do some deep thinking. I know you've done a lot of work on the mother wound and that kind of thing too. It's all of this deep healing, ladies, that we've come to do right now, that's up right now. So
Yeah, that's right. And when we're better with ourselves, then we're better for everybody else.
Ashe.
And when we're
That's it.
better for ourselves, then we can have good relationships with men that work because we are in the correct position.
Yes,
There we
we're in the
go.
right
That's
frequency. The right frequency. All right, baby. Well, listen,
right.
I think we're complete. What you think,
I think
TJ? I
I
think
think
we're
we can.
complete. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all know what this is. Liberated Pussy Podcast. We are out. We headed to Bali, y'all. Next time y'all hear from us, we'll be on the other side of the world.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank
We'll
you
be
again.
together and we'll be in Bali, and we'll be sure to keep this amazing conversation going, this and other amazing conversations going. Thank you for being with us. We love you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And come in the room and do this work with us. Come on. Come on, y'all. We out. Thank you, Mo.
Bye bye. Peace and
Bye
blessings.
bye. Peace and blessings.